All right, good afternoon, good morning if you are in the Americas, for example, or if you're sitting somewhere in Asia Pacific, good evening, good afternoon to our parents and students who are joining us also from the African continent or sitting somewhere in Europe. We're really glad that you're here today. I think today we're here on a more lighter note than I think when we kicked off this series of meetings about a week ago. We were sitting and standing with students in Sumi. It's really good to be able to see some joining from different locations. So maybe the students, you can shangilia kidogo, as you say in Swahili, by telling us your locations. And just as in setting the precedence and, allowing a bit of order in the room, we'll ask you to mute your mics. It's okay for us to see you on video. And, we are also happy to see sunshine like Dr. Mfuka there. I'm sure he's sitting somewhere in Africa under a beautiful tree. So feel free to show us your faces, but we ask that you keep your... Morogoro! Yeah, nostalgic moments from Morogoro. And just keep your mics muted because that makes it easy for us to flow. We will have a moment for question and answers at some point, so people would be able to take the floor. This is the kind of meeting where we would like it to be very interactive. My name is Paddy. I have very long names, as you can see on the screen, but you can just feel free to call me Paddy. I am from Zambia, but I'm joining you on this call from Kosovo. And I am part of a network of African diaspora support organizations, as well as well-wishers that has been standing, walking, journeying with various students coming out, fleeing from the conflict in Ukraine. And as we speak, we still do have quite a number of students that are left predominantly in a town called Kherson, and some that are making their way out of Ukraine. So as we are in this moment trying to look a little bit forward, which is what this session is about, we still remember that we have our friends back home. And, for those of you who have contacts with your friends in Kherson, check on your friends. And we're saying friends because we know that it's a very tough situation that they're in. But we may have students joining us from Kherson. We want you to know that we're walking with you, and not just walking, but taking the necessary action. And who is we? There's a number of people that I will ask just to give a wave of hand. You will hear from some of them. We have Jackie from the Kenyan Women in Germany. And you will see how she'll be co-hosting with me today. We have Mr. Freddy, who we are calling the digital papa, the digital dad to most of the students that have been made their way across Ukraine. You have been in contact with Mr. Freddy. So if you didn't see his face, you're seeing his face now. And then we have Simone. I don't see her in the room. She's probably
not yet in. She's coordinating the buses.
She's coordinating, yeah. So still moving some students along. We have Anna, and I'm giving people's first names because I think a lot of you have been in interaction, and we will give you the full list of contacts a bit later on. We have Mame, who you will hear from as well, who's on the team. There is Scarlett, who is not here with us. And these are just some of the few that are in the Situation Room with us and as part of this network. So we are really glad that you're here to join us today. So what is our intention for today? Our intention for today is to provide some kind of hope by providing you some information on what the pathway to the next steps look like. We know that some of you have posed questions to us, and you have also been asking, pondering, and that's for parents and students, about what happens next. What happens next? I'm in Poland. I want to make a move next. I've arrived to Romania. I'm very confused about my education options. I'm sitting in Germany. What are the kind of options for me to stay, and the visa requirements, and so on and so forth. But just a disclaimer. This is the information we have gathered. These are lived experiences. We are not immigration officials. We are not university reception centers. So what we're trying to provide is just a sense of information that you can have with you as you make your way to journey onto the next journey. So our program today is that, we're going to hear from Mr. So we're going to get an introduction from our host here, Kenyan Women in Germany, and then after that, and also we're glad that we're also being co-hosted by the Career Hub, and we will hear more from Caroline later on. And then Freddie will take us through what the journey has been so far, because I think that's very important for those who are joining us, maybe some parents for the first time and saying, who are these people? Kwani hawa ni watu gani? Who are these people and what's really been happening? So Mr. Freddie will put us on spot on what's been happening. And then after that, Caroline is going to take us through the Career Hub, what it means. Then we'll get a brief from Education Opportunities from Mame. And then we will hear some reflections, which I think are very important in terms of lived experience of other African professionals, like the students in the room who have journeyed to faraway lands in Germany, in Romania, in Poland. And please, if you're joining us from any other location and you say, hey, I have a lived experience, just give us a DM so that we can allocate some time with you. And then after that, we're going to talk about repatriation for those who would like to venture and go back home, because those options remain available. And there's some well-wishers out there, international organizations that will provide international organizations that are providing these pathways. And then we want to hear from you. So without much taking too much of our time, let me welcome the mama who has welcomed us into her home from Kenyan Women in Germany. Jackie, my sister, my friend, over to you.
Thank you very much, Paddy, for those warm words. And thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining in. Just like Paddy has said, I'm Jacqueline Kuhn. Many call me Jackie. I'm one of the founders of Kenyan Women in Germany. With me, I have a whole team behind me that is like, they can also wave. That is Philly Makora up there. For Iwiso, please mute. That is Philly Makora. That is Nelly Okumu. And then we have Jenny Nish. That is Nelly. Nelly has just switched on her. Jenny Nish on the other side. And then we have Jane Gitonga. I cannot see her. And we have Jane Nganga and Charity Ngugi, Charity Wairimo. And Rachel Ngugi. I cannot see her as well. So who is Kenyan Women in Germany? That is a group of ladies who stay in Germany. And we've been a group that has been existing for the last 2 years. We are that young. And our main aim is to provide our sisters mainly, and now our brothers, a place to call home. We are over 2,400 members in that organization. We are a registered organization. And as you can see, having these members, these are the members who've been having my back all the time. They keep the group running as I move with Paddy, Freddie, Simone, and Anna. So when we heard about this, the invasion, when the first students who called us, everybody in the group was like, no, we have to do something. So my colleagues, those are my co-admins, told me, Jackie, we free you from the admin job. You can just concentrate on whatever you're doing. I want to say here, thank you very much. And all along, we've also collected some funds. We've done 1, 2, 3 things. But of course, as you all know, the money has been used either on the transport or accommodation or whatever, anything that was coming up. So it doesn't mean that those are the funds that are going to carry you to somewhere or to sponsor your education or anything, but it was the funds that were being used on the ground. Exactly. And I must say, I'm so happy to be part of this team that has been working all along. And just to say thank you very much to the students and their parents for entrusting us. You've trusted in our work, and I want to hope and believe that we delivered up to this juncture. So with those few remarks, I just want Caro to introduce, I'm welcoming my sister Caro, who is also a co-host, who has offered her also a platform. And because today is about education and how we are moving further, so she is in charge of that part. And after Caro, I'll welcome Freddie as well. Caro, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you so much, the whole team, for the wonderful work you've done. And I've been following up in the background. I'm a mother of 2 small girls, so sometimes I may not have the time to do all the follow-ups, but you've done an incredible work trying to help these traumatized students at least to find a safe place. And I'm a Pan-Africanist, and I'm ready to help where I can. I've been in Germany for about 20 years. I came here for my studies, and I'm very, very keen to help as many people as possible understand the education systems in this country. I'm also part of QUIG. QUIG is a real home to many of us far away from home. And I can also see some of the members, founders of QUIG are also part of our network. We have a huge, we are trying to create a huge network of mentors who are ready to take other people's hands, because we may not do everything. So Philly is one of our mentors in the PR sector. We have Nelly, also one of our mentors. Jenny Nish also is an amazing mentor. So you can see we are there to as Germans say, einander ergänzen, to complete each other, because this is the mindset that we have. We want to combine all the efforts together. So yes, that's what I do. I work part-time, but we have a platform where we try to expose all the career and business opportunities in this country, as we also try to see which role we as African professionals can we play. And this challenge has really put all of us in that situation, wondering which role can we play. And I like when it happened, I wished we had our own universities to accommodate these students. I wished we had our own transport systems to host these students. And I wished we had our own, our own systems just to make sure every brother and sister has been rescued. So I'm very happy to be part of this, and hopefully the few information we are going to share is going to help and at least give hope to that student who is right here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Carol. And from here, I would like to welcome Fred, who's been the digital father to all the students, or to most of them, let me put it that way. And Fred will tell us how the whole journey has been to date. So Freddie, the floor is yours. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Caroline and Paddy, for organizing the meeting. It's an emotional journey that I will not go into the very many details, but it's emotional for me to see the number of people who have joined this meeting, and especially seeing some parents and some students here. Some of them I met when they were still in the bunkers in Sumi. And now I can see smiles on their faces, and I get very nice videos. We even video talk where they are now. That said, we still have issues that are in caution, some cases, but we will not detail that one today. So I am Fred Pakosir. That's my name, at least for those who want to know my last name. I don't even know what to call myself. I think I'm the rice or the potato, the water that you use when you're cooking your ugalis and the matokes. I am they have been there from the start of the journey, and I follow the students and the people who have been helped to the point of exit and beyond, when I deliver them to Mama Jackie and Paddy to take care of them. So otherwise, I belong to several organizations, which I don't have to list here. I came here as an individual when I joined this very strong, amazing people to help the students, especially the students, when I joined the QUIG group. The journey started by me contacting a few people, and then it just built up very fast into a huge number. And I entered into WhatsApp groups. We added more and more people in the WhatsApp groups as they were appearing. And then we ended up with a students, purely students WhatsApp group, and other fast Kenyans. I'm a Kenyan. And then it just grew and grew and grew, and now it became African Forum. So I was down in the bunker, and that is in quotes, because I was not personally down in the bunkers. But to these students and most people who were helping, they had the feeling that I was actually down in the bunker. That is how close I got to them. We built real good trust. And until yesterday, one was asking me whether I was still in the bunkers, I should get out because I will be hurt. After helping them, now I should also help myself. And thank you, you know yourselves, those who are saying that, the students. So we were trying to get supplies in an area which was totally cordoned, in Sumi especially, and start with Sumi. The railroad was already bombed. There was no way you could take a train out. And the Russians had their tankers on the railroad, both sides of the town. So it was very difficult to get out. We tried to use what we call rat routes, panya routes, for those who speak Swahili. Those are getting people through taxis and makeshift means to get out of the city. Most students at the Sumi State University were very strong and very strong-willed, so to say. Most of them, some of them even risked their lives to get out several times and were returned. Some of them managed to get out. And I was always on one-on-one in contact with all the students who were getting out. When we got the main green corridor, when now most students, nearly all students were getting out, it was a challenge because the first buses came and it was, the Indians and the Chinese first, and our kids had to stay in the cold for quite a long time. When they managed to get to the buses, a journey of about 2 hours to Poltava took them over 13 hours because they had to drive in the night, through the night, and I was in contact. We created groups. So I was having this is the leadership group for this team, this is the leadership group for this team, with code names. And when I'm talking about we, it's a very complicated process to evacuate people from this kind of war zone. But we have an amazing team of people who I actually have to mention before I even continue. We have Simone, we have Scarlett, we have Lizzie, Elle, Orsi, Rico, Anna, Jackie, Paddy, we are all here and we've done an amazing job, coordinating in a city where you are not sitting there throughout the journey, getting the train routes and everything, and making sure that these students are safe. We have managed through this team of, I now decided to call them team of experts because they're really experts. And we have been up, I don't remember which day I've ever slept more than an hour, like if you call it sleeping. It's been a 24-hour thing all those days. Believe me, these people have been up all the time. We are from morning to night and the challenges never end. You just get new challenges. You think you solved one and then the next one just pops up. So the journey from Sumi through Poltava to Lviv, that's another city. Now we are getting from the east to the west of Ukraine, if you can remember the map. Lviv area was not really hard hit yet, so it was a bit easier to get people through there. There are people who have spent 56 hours plus to cross the border in a journey where normally you could spend about 8 hours, And when we get the students down to Lviv, when they come from Sumi. Now they've done the train journeys. We arrange accommodation. We make sure they get something to eat. We have had challenges where one night I lost 33 students because we had arranged the buses. The buses had my name, Freddy, that's the name they know. And some jumped in the bus, which was not ours, and were taken to a facility which we had not booked. But we managed to find them at night and also help them to coordinate. So to cut that part short, when they get to Lviv after the accommodation, the next morning we try to get them out because there's still a long journey. Some going to Poland border, some going to Chop border, some going to Romania. So CHOP border, we also have a way of coordinating there until they get to Budapest. When they get to Budapest, that's the city, capital city, we organize for them accommodation. They are well received. You know, up to last night, there were some that we had given some some accommodation, but they chose not to pick them, and then they went to other places. And then now, last night, they were all hanging around. They didn't have a place all of a sudden. So I have to spend the night again to try and find another thing. Now we are in a third, fourth country, you know. But we have amazing people all over, as I mentioned, and it has been very good. Now, who have we been helping? We are not focusing on one country. We are focusing on all students, African students, first and foremost. So as at now, we've helped out Zambians, we've helped Mozambicans, Tanzanians, Uganda has been in the picture, Kenyans, we have Nigerians who have gone through our system. So it's a huge number of different people. In one night, you get out 67 people. It's not a simple thing. And they all have their needs. You know, girls come, they need special treatment. They are sick ones. Some have had, you know, neonating, and the trauma is too much. So we've been doing all this. And then, of course, comes the language, because there are language challenges. Some of these students are so new to the place, they don't know the language. It's Russian and Ukrainian. There are issues of money. You know, you don't have money, you cannot send money to their numbers, and all this. So we have a team of translators also helping us to coordinate in between, talking to the buses, bus drivers, and stuff like this. It has been amazing. It has been tiring. It has been challenging and traumatizing. But I can say when you hear the stories, when they now arrive where they are and they say, thank you, that's all we get. And that's the most important thing to hear. Thank you, I am safe.
Yeah.
So once we reach there, now I say my part is done when they are safe. I have one who is living in a villa now. He says, even if he was to finish his medical school, he cannot imagine that he will end up in such a big house. So he's very happy, and another lady also, and two others. That part, when it's done, now I move over to my sisters, where Jackie and Caroline, you take it off so that the future is taken care of. If there will be any questions, I will be ready to answer, but I think I should cut it here for the sake of time.
Thank you, Mr. Freddie. I think that's you took less time than we had allocated for you, but I think that as
that one I leave for the questions, if there's any.
Exactly.
So that I'm smart on that.
Absolutely. And I think we have more of some of the crew that's joining. I see that, you know, we have the presidents of the students associations from SUMI also joining us. We're really happy to see them, because they were very instrumental as leaders to coordinate with Mr. Freddie, but also to be able to provide a lot of different support. So, you know, your work is recognized. Peter, we see you somewhere. Msaba, I think I also saw Dr. Lack somewhere walking into the meeting. Karibuni sana. And also just to say to the parents joining us from different parts, you know, I only speak few languages, so I can say Karibuni, Kwaba. I can also say bienvenue, and then I'll leave the rest of the languages out there. But you are welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. If you're just coming in, we ask you to keep your mics muted. Feel free to show us your faces, but we would like to have a nice flowing, steady meeting. And this meeting here is for us to provide information to students as you take the next journey on after fleeing Ukraine. And also just to say, that if there's still students out there that are feeling that now that you've got a fresher mind and rested and are looking for looking for some support to help you adjust in the next coming days, please feel free to reach out to Mr. Freddie, and he has contacts with people who are not just on the ground in various locations, also speaking many different languages, that can give you that support, because we realize it was a hard mental journey. So as you are settling in, feel free to reach out for that help, because that help is important. Moving on to our program, I don't know if Carol, you wanted to chime in a bit more about what is available in terms of support from the Career Hub, because I think that's a very good opportunity before we will move on to the next segment, where we try to touch on some very general information, but also some very important lived experiences from those who are coming from Germany, Romania, and Poland. And again, if we have any other persons who have information that they would like to share on lived experience as a student in these in European cities. Well, we're saying European because those are the ones that have joined us, but please do let us know and we will add you very quickly to the program. Caro, the floor is yours again.
Okay. Thank you so much. I've prepared like 2 or 3 slides or 2, 3, 4 slides. And what I also did, I brought in a Kenyan medical student, Maria, just wave, at least we see where you are. So in case anyone has questions, we have someone who is right in the element. So, and she's ready to answer all the questions. So I'll just take you briefly through what you need to know if you would like to study in Germany. I've also been speaking to several universities. Like last week, I spoke to about 10, and they were all putting me back to one central position, which I'll show it to you. Unfortunately, most of the links are in German, but we are dedicated. We have said we are going to help the students with whatever information they're looking for. So I will share my email address at the end of the presentation. You can get in touch and we can approach these universities together. This is what we have dedicated to do. So let me just share my screen briefly and then we can, yeah. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yeah. We can.
Okay. Yeah. So this is normally the question we keep on throwing to us, all of us. And I think this is really still very present even right now, facing the war in the Ukraine, that which role can we play in whichever way in establishing these partnerships that can help us. So that is what we have been, that has been our motto, our agenda, like which role can we play in our countries where we are in the diaspora in building these partnerships and collaborations between Germany and Africa. And this is now what the AG Career Hub is all about. So apart from posting information about studying and working in Germany, we're also very keen to see which partnerships can we collaborate, can we initiate, and we have some universities that have managed to get connections to German universities, and this has been a very nice story to keep us going. And apart from that, we have very many mentors who've done different things. I had mentioned a few, so you can go to our website. I'll show you later on, and then you can see a mentor who is ready to work with you. Because as I said, we believe that we may not do everything, but with these mentors, I think the journey can be much more easier because they are in the areas of profession. So these are the areas we touch on: studying, working. We also post a lot of scholarships and job openings here and in Africa. We also try to see with German companies and international companies are hiring in Africa. We also trying to see how can we support research in Africa. For example, there are several programs for returnees. So like if you've already studied here and you'd like to go back home, where do I find the support? Which programs are there? And we also have some partners with some organizations that fund entrepreneurs who would like to do their small businesses back home. So for today, I will concentrate on what you need to know if you would like to study in Germany. And these are some of the benefits that most of you may know about studying in Germany. The tuition fee is very low. So you find like you spend up to 350 euros per semester just on the tuition fee. Meaning compared if you go to the UK or to the USA where you have to spend some substantial amount of money, this is not the case with Germany. However, the scholarships, they are not so many because of the low tuition fee. So you find like a student can cope with like a budget of 600 to 850 euros per month, covering everything. I'll show you a breakdown later on. And then of course it's quite known for STEM courses and the high quality of education. We also have some several English courses and on the bachelor level and master levels, which was not the case before. And there are several scholarships, mostly on the master level, but if you're already here and you have covered like a semester or two, there are several scholarships that you can apply, either short-term scholarships or for the duration of your courses. Yes, I had mentioned this about some courses in English and in both master and bachelor courses. And also the good thing about Germany that international students are allowed to work for 120 full days or 240 days per year. So meaning like somehow you can manage to settle your bills. Philly and Nelly can correct me, and Maria, we all manage to somehow pay our own bills. So it is doable, and also for the fact that the tuition fee is very low. And then also there's a new regulation, like I think about 3 years ago, that when you finish your studies, Germany will grant you 18 months to seek for employment, which was not the case before. So at least now students can now spend the time after they finish their studies looking for jobs. Yeah. And lastly, as I said, there are several organizations that do fund scholarship students. I'll share a few links at the end of the presentation or in the chat, then you can at least try to access the links later on. So this is like what I said, what you need to, at least some of the costs, so that at least you have a rough idea. So every student that is going to apply for studies in Germany, you need to show the financial proof. So you either need to have a scholarship, or you need to have this substantial amount of money in your bank account, or you can also get someone who is already working in Germany to sign for you the document called the formal obligation. So I just focused on the blocked account amount. So they need to see 10,332 euros in your account. And this money is released every month. So this money is normally like to cover for the whole first academic year. Some students get visas for 2 years. So at least the second year you can, hopefully you have managed to have a student job and you can continue supporting yourself. So the beginning, it might be a bit tough, but now with time, then you can manage to pay for your own bills. And then I said, this money is enough to cover the tuition fee, accommodation, health insurance, food and recreation, and of course, other small costs. Okay. So I had mentioned that there are several scholarships. I'll share the links where you can find most of the major scholarships in the chat, so that at least we can make things easier. And I'll also send Jackie like a 1-page compiled information so that you can share it with the students. I think it is easier that way. Or you can also contact me when I share my address at the end. Yeah, so very important information. I've also been in touch with this Johannes Haushofer. He's a professor in Sweden, and he had posted a couple of weeks ago that they have contacted several universities, and they have a Zoom session tomorrow with several universities at 3 p.m. I will drop in the Zoom link in the chat, and I'll share it with Jackie so that at least students can also join in tomorrow at 3 p.m. Berlin time and 4 p.m. Kiev time. And so he's going to bring in several universities that can also expose different opportunities. So after I spoke to several universities in Germany, they sent me to one of the most common universities where you need websites where you need to find out, what do I need to study in Germany? Is for example, like the students who are in this case from Ukraine, is my university in the Ukraine recognized in Germany? So I'll take you to the Anabin website. It's unfortunately in German, but try to make sure that I send a screenshot with translation so that at least you know what to do. So let me see if I can get the Anabin database briefly, and then I am good to go with my short presentation. Just a little minute. Yeah, it's already there. Okay, Anabin, share screen. Yeah, all right. So as I said, I'll prepare a snapshot and at least say where you need to go because it's in German. There's another very nice tool that you can use. It's called DeepL. Please, I'll drop this in the chat. You can use this for Google Translation. It's very good. It's actually better than Google. So you can use this to at least to know how to navigate from these German websites. Okay, so this is now what you need to do. So assuming you studied in Ukraine and you would like to know, is my institution recognized in Germany in the first place? Because this is what all those 10 universities told me. So if you go to search, and then you key in the name of your organization or the country. You can go here and say Ukraine, for example, Ukraine. And then you confirm. So you can actually see all the universities that are already recognized here in Germany. If there's a H+, it says the university is recognized. If there's a H-, then it is not recognized as a university. So I think this is the starting point to know where did you study, so that at least from there on we can pick it up. What I forgot to mention at the beginning.
Let us take example of Sumi, for example, state, to see if it is there, just as an example.
Okay, which state?
Sumi State University, for example, as an example, so that people can be realistic.
Okay, Sumi. With T.
SU.
SU, okay. Yeah, Sumi. So SUMY, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's recognized.
It is there. See, it has a H+.
Oh,
It's recognized.
great.
Yeah.
But these people, they suffered more.
They suffered more, yeah. So at least you can see, you can also scroll down to see there are many in Sumi. Yeah.
The Agricultural Institute and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you please search for Ternopil Medical University?
Which one?
Ternopil.
Camopi, okay, with C?
With T, Ternopil.
With T, okay. Ternopil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ternopil.
Yeah.
It's also there.
It's also there.
Thank you a lot.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry. Can you check if Vinita is there?
Sorry, but Caroline,
you-
listen, students. I think this link is there. Just take the link and you can
Everybody
start
can
doing the
check.
same thing.
Yeah.
Just go on that
I'll
link and
drop
do it
it.
yourselves. Now
Exactly.
start checking, okay?
Yes.
The
Yeah,
link
yeah.
will
Because-
also be dropped in our WhatsApp group. So so you can you have enough time to check for that.
Just do it, yeah.
Because if we start checking each and every university here, I think
will not make it.
We will not make it. Yeah,
we will
thank
not
you.
make
Thank
it
you.
here.
Thank you.
Continue, Caroline.
Yeah, there's one more link that I forgot to mention. So there's a system here of if you have studied medicine out of Germany, so you have to go to these offices, and this I had noted it down. I'll look for my papers and then I'll drop the link later on. So if you go to that website, it will tell you according to the states you are right now. So if you're in Berlin, there's an office that is in charge for these students who have done pharmacy, medical, whatever in different countries. They're the ones who are in charge of recognizing the certificates. But I'll compile the information today and I'll send you like in a compiled whatever list, so that at least you know where to start. What I forgot to mention at the beginning is there are universities that are willing to enroll their students for German language courses. You cannot study medicine in Germany in English, unfortunately. What they mentioned was that if you, for example, in your 8th, 9th semester, depending on what Annabin says, they might recognize some of the semesters, so you don't have to start from scratch. But now this depends on where the kind of like the credits that you received in your university and what the German university here will say, but you still need the German language lesson for you to continue with your medical degree in Germany. If not, if you say, well, I've given up on my medical degree, then at least the DAAD website, let me just show you briefly before I finish. The DAAD website has also some courses, international, has also some courses which you can check and see if you can continue your courses, or you can pick another course in English. You can also select on the language here, and then you go to search, then you'll be able to see different courses in English. So like there's a student ahead who said, oh, well, I don't see the chance of me studying German language again. So we are trying to see which options he can continue either in in science subjects, but you can flip through to see. So what I would offer you as a co-founder of the EduCareer Hub is we can sit down together with the students who are interested in Germany. we can organize for a separate session, and we go through like even pre-selecting the courses to see, is this really what I would like to do in this country? Yeah. Show you last example, like you see, if you would like to say, well, I have given up on medicine, but I was very good in biology. This is a university in Rheinbach that offers courses in English. And they might also like give you, they might also recognize some of the courses that you had done in Ukraine in this case. Okay, so I'll stop there because I don't want to take over the session.
Carol,
But
Yes,
you are,
practical.
yeah,
You're
that
good.
was
Wow.
so good and very practical. And I think
Oh, thank
students,
you.
you know, this is what you need to see that goes behind the scene, people who are dedicated to support students beyond your journey. So the future is bright. The future is bright because when you have information and you've got the Career Hub to support you, you've got information that's coming from the different spaces, then it helps you to make some informed decisions. Just to say that indeed language restrictions are an issue, but imagine there's students who study medicine in Chinese. I lived in China for several years, and many students travel across. So the barriers are there, but challenges are there to be crossed, and information is power. Thanks again, Caroline, for shedding light on the Career Hub, but also really getting into that space with Germany. Now, we try to kind of just come out of Germany a little bit, and we move to a bit more of a general information. And so as part of the network that's been supporting students that are coming out of Ukraine, we undertook a task to try and search what's really happening around Europe and in other spaces. And our colleague Mame is going to touch on that. And then she will also go a little bit into Poland, as we do not have our speaker for Poland here with us. And after that, Mame will pass on the baton to Dr. Maria, but I will let Jackie do the introduction for Dr. Maria. Now let's just hear a bit more of general information and on Poland from Mame.
Thank you. I've been completely put to shame, Caro. I wish I had some kind of amazing PowerPoint presentation with the level of detail. But I think you will see the level of detail that will go into applying wherever it is that you will be applying later if you wish to continue your studies. So first of all, my name is Mame. I'm Finnish Senegalese. I'm also based in Kosovo. Paddy dragged me into this group, and I've just joined a few days ago, and trying to gather information about any next steps or options available to all of those who have made it to safety. And it's lovely to have you here. So I'll try to keep it brief, and I'm trying to give you a bit of an overview, a bigger picture, and then we can start zooming in onto the lived experiences. So if I repeat things that you already know, I apologize. And if there are any people here who know more than me, which is very, very possible, please correct me later or give us the information that is the most current. So a lot of the information is changing very quickly. So what is important to understand is none of the third country nationals fleeing Ukraine are really considered refugees. This is really important to know. So there are a lot of universities and countries that are opening borders and programs for people fleeing Ukraine. And it's only when you really scroll down to the end, you realize that these are for Ukrainian nationals and are not really aimed for third country nationals, such as our African nationals that are fleeing from Ukraine, unless they already were refugees before. So that's something just to keep in mind. The other thing is that I've yet to hear of a case whereby a student visa for Ukraine would have been transferred to another country, which means one of the steps that you would need to do in order to continue your studies or even to extend your stay in a lot of the countries that you have fled to, including Poland, Hungary, Romania, you will have to apply a temporary visa or student visa. Importantly, it's not clear whether you'll be able to complete an application for such a temporary stay or student visa, that you'll be able to stay in the country whilst you wait for them to approve the visa. So it's possible that even when you are applying for a new student visa, you might have to go back to your home country. This, once you arrive, you have 15 days to stay, and you are not meant to be moving on to any other Schengen countries. If you were to apply for the temporary stay or student visa, if that visa were rejected, how would that then impact any future student visas that you might want to apply for? Let's say if you go back, this is something also that we just don't have information on. Oh, right. And also the trend seems to be that a week ago, even non-Ukrainian nationals fleeing Ukraine were entitled to temporary protections, just as the Ukrainians. These have been pulled back, for example, in Hungary. So from the 7th of March, third country residents were or are no longer eligible to apply for the same temporary protections that Ukrainian nationals are. So this is a trend to keep in mind, that it seems that as the war is spreading and more people are coming, the trend seems to be more of closing rather than opening. Having said that, the EU countries are able to set their own rules. And for example, Germany have extended a helping hand, and you are able to stay without a visa as a non-Ukrainian citizen in Germany up until the 23rd of May, for example. At the moment, we don't have a central database to see which countries have which measures in place. So we'd have to find out from that country through their consulate. Okay, moving on to studying. So there are plenty of opportunities to study in Europe, all around. Again, many doors. A lot of them are not currently as open to third country nationals as they are for Ukrainians fleeing the war. Just something to keep in mind. Where you might want to study depends on the language in which you want to study. So like Caro already said, medical studies, for example, are often linked to the local language. So if you study medicine in Germany, you will have to study it in German. And same goes with Finland, for example. However, these universities do then provide language study also. You can study medicine in English in some countries. Poland is one, Romania is one, and I believe that we are hearing from somebody from Romania a little bit later. And then you have a difference in university systems also across the EU. Some are free and some are paying. So for example, if you were to study medicine in Romania, that would cost you, I think it's about 5,000 euros a year. Sorry, where was my next bit? And another example, for example, in Belgium, you can study in English, you can study in Dutch, you can study in French. Most of the English courses are masters and up. There are some available, but it's less. And for example, in Brussels, most of the bachelor degrees will have to be in French, for example. And again, English courses are available, but they're mainly masters. And then they are, again, there are less options. Private universities are about 6,000 a year, but you have plenty of courses in English, in computer science and economics and all the rest of it. My next. Funding and scholarships, generally, the same would apply. You would probably have to apply as an international student. So each university, each institution will have their own application process. So once you are clear on what you want to study and where you would approach that university and specifically go through them. We have had one example of a student who approached a university in Hungary in order to get admission and was referred directly to their own embassy. So this is also something that is currently happening. Universities are telling third country nationals to contact their embassies first and foremost in order to be able to continue their study. Have I mentioned everything that I had here? I suppose my main takeaway for you would be that that when you want to continue your studies in Europe, a lot of the work in deciding where you want to go will be on you. Having said that, there are a lot of African communities and networks that are working in many different European countries like Karo's, and there is help available. So really you need to decide whether you want to continue in Europe, and if you do, then be very, very specific about what it is that you want to do and in which country and in which language. And if I didn't say it already, being able to secure your stay and your study costs financially is very, very important in terms of visa. In Germany, they have the locked account that Caro was talking about. In many other countries, the system would be different. You would have to show that you have sufficient means, not only for your tuition fees, but also to cover your cost in that country, especially if you don't have a right to work. And finally, some of them even request that you have enough money to show that you can then buy a ticket to go back to home once you are done with your studying. I believe that covers what I had on the general. And then in terms of Poland specifically, one of our contacts, Anna, who is not able to be here today, has been able to pull on a lot of her networks in Poland. And so if you were interested in studying in Warsaw, she has been able to secure a number of spots that would have an immediate start, both BA and postgrad level. And I'm going to try and see if I can find the topics. Sorry, here. Mainly international and economic management, political science, computer science, and a few others like psychology. The cost for this would be roughly 1,800 euros per semester. But this is something that she would be able to help you with if anyone is interested. Having said that, before utilizing these resources, please do think if you are able to seriously commit to such a spot, because there are so many people who want to study and at the moment relatively few spots. So we're hoping that on the basis of what is shared here today, you're able to take off all this information and sit with it and think about what it really is realistically that you want to do, that you can do, that your parents will allow you to do. And then after that, start grabbing at the resources that are there, because there really are much more people in need than what we have of resources. If there's anything unclear or anything I've missed, please ask a question later on. I'm going to stop.
You're on mute, Jackie.
Look at me. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mame and Caroline, for that informative part of the session. And I'm sure the students listened, and later in the Q&A session, there are going to be enough questions. And to the students, you have enough homework with you, so you'll be kept busy. Before I invite one of our professionals, who is Maria, I would like to invite Maria Lucy, who is a current student, maybe just to give us a brief information how it is to be a student and what a medical student life in Germany, I guess, is like. So Maria Mary Lucy.
Yeah.
Maria Lucy.
I'm
The floor is
Maria
yours.
Lucy.
Maria Lucy, yes.
Yeah, but you can just call me Marie. It's easier.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a medical student currently in my 12th semester. That is like, I'm done in a few weeks. And yeah, I'll say briefly how my path was. I know for a fact that there are different ways to go about it, but with holding, because I'm a holder of the Kenyan passport, the first things I had to do was with my KCSE results, that is your final certificate, what you get in Kenya, you have to go to the office of, it's called in German, Zeugnis Anerkennungsstelle. That means they're in Bayern, those are the people responsible for recognizing whether your documents are eligible enough to study in Germany. So before even doing the rest, that is an important step because they're the ones who decide, are you eligible to join a university, yes or no? And since I studied in Bayern, so most of my references will be according to Bayern. And after that, they tell you that you get a short document saying, yes, you can study in a university or a Hochschule, that is like college, but I find it's the same thing as a university. The second step was applying to the universities. In Bayern, it's a bit, I usually say in Bayern and Baden-Württemberg, the two states, it's a bit easy because you apply for your medical studies direct to the university. So for example, I applied to the University of Würzburg, it's in Bayern, and you can do it online or download the forms and write everything and then send it to the university. But I find doing it online can be much easier because it's something that you just click apply and whatever. But during my time, I downloaded everything, wrote everything per hand and then sent it in. They analyze and they will also tell you what documents you need. And one of the documents that is important is the document that you got from the Zeugnis Anerkennungsstelle. That is the organization that is responsible for proving that you're eligible to study here. That's where I say that will be actually the first step that you get to. And I say it's a little bit easy in Bayern and Baden-Württemberg because I also applied to other universities across Deutschland. And I know that, for example, some universities in other states like North Rhine-Westphalia and Niedersachsen, one has to apply to organization called UniAssist. That means the UniAssist is somehow like this Zeugnis Anerkennungsstelle. They check if you are eligible, one, to study in the universities, mostly in the north, and or other states like Cologne and Bonn, and two, they're the ones who verify your documents, and two, you apply to the specific universities through them. That means some universities, I cannot remember the specific ones, but I think also University of Cologne, you had to apply to UniAssist, and then through UniAssist, you apply to the various universities. And I did that, and there was a bit of complications because you have also to check the deadlines. If you apply just before the deadlines and they're not done verifying your documents, you automatically miss that semester. And that's why it's important to check when are the deadlines of when you're supposed to be applying. So I applied direct to the university. I got you get a response that you're supposed to, they send you an invitation letter to go to a student college. This is a pre-university college that you have to attend before joining the university. And it's not usually for everyone. That's why I started saying, as a Kenyan passport holder, this was the way I had to use, because I know, for example, there are students from Cameroon who don't really need to go to the pre-university college. That means you have also to remain in contact with the university and check what requirements do they require from you. For me, I was sent an invitation letter to do like a approval exam just to join the student colleague. And this is a German test. And I will say for a fact, it's very competitive. As you can imagine, you have 1,000 students, all of whom want to study medicine. And for the medical way, they had to choose the best 10. So you have to be among the best 10 because most of the slots are only 10. And then after you pass this Aufnahmeprüfung, you join student colleague, which is the pre-university college for 1 year. It prepares you for the university. And the good thing about Bayern, when you're done with this pre-university college, at the end of that 1 year, they send you do the applications again for universities you'd like to do. Like for me, I had applied to Würzburg. I did not have to apply again. But since you want to increase your chances of joining universities, you can apply not only to one university, you could apply to Munich, you could apply to, in Munich, there are 2 universities. One could apply to Regensburg and other Erlangen. I think those are the main medical schools in Bayern. And in the same case, I had already applied in Würzburg. So my university, I came to find out later, but maybe things have changed. You don't have to apply twice. The first application you made, immediately you finish the pre-university college. If you pass, the University of Würzburg takes you automatically, but of course, they will send you an admission letter. For the other universities, if you study in Bayern and you go to this pre-university college in Bayern, they send the application on your behalf so that they can show the universities you passed through their own pre-university colleges. And even the lecturers tell you the advantage is when the universities see that you went through their own state pre-university college, you get an easier access or an easier chance. And another advantage, as a non-EU passport holder, my chances of joining medical school were much, I don't know whether I can say much higher, but that's, from my point of view, that's how it was. Because I remember other students have had better grades than I had, but because they had a Schengen passport, that means either from Austria or Germany or whatever, I was considered first than they were. So like, I know I was chosen as the first, was given my admission letter to medical school as the first slot. And those who had EU visas, they was only when there was any room remaining for a student, then they were considered, but most of them were not considered. So here is where maybe I can say the Kenyan passport or an EU passport is of a slight advantage. And then when you join medical school, the medical school structure here is divided into different sections. The first 2 years they're hard, and then you have to do like the first state exam. And then there is the rest of the school, the medical school years until the end. So they call them the 4 clinical years is the first 4 semesters, and the clinical years are the 5th semester until the 12th, which I'm also doing. And I got into contact with the University of Würzburg and asked them how will it be for international African students who want to join university. And the response I got is, at the moment, because there was no law regulating such circumstances, so they are going to the international office with this regard. In the university I'm studying in, the international office in Würzburg is having a sitting down and trying to find out how they can regulate everything, because it is a bit difficult. One, we study in pure German, and I cannot advise anyone to just do 6 months of German language and then want to join medical school. Because if you do not understand, most people did not survive the first 2 years, the pre-clinical years, if your German language is not good. So from the University of Würzburg side, they said they will give me a response on how to go about it for people who had studied medical, as their medical studies in Ukraine. But one thing I can say is that you will not come around studying the German language. And I think I have tried to summarize everything that one needs for medical school.
Thank you very much, Maria Lucy, for the rounding up of the whole thing, because this is now the student, the real student who is working this journey currently. So, and bringing up the language thing, because the language barrier is what is turning off many people. And just like Caro and Mami said before, with medical studies, you have to have the German language. You have to have the knowledge of it. And now we've gotten approved from Maria Lucy, who is currently a student. Now, after finishing with Maria Lucy, I would also like to welcome Maria, another Maria, Dr. Maria, who has been working with us also this journey. Allow me to say that. Dr. Maria Otieno Bayal was born and raised in Nairobi, and she moved to Romania. Freddie, just allow me to introduce her, please. Yeah, this is your doctor, I know.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Allow you to talk about my doctor, it's okay. You're free. Today you're free.
And she moved to Romania, where she studied medicine, and now she has her own, how do you call that? Her own clinic. And, is a doctor in her own clinic and planning to open other clinics in different areas. Dr. Maria stood with the students and also organized some psychological help for especially the students in Sumi. And please, Daktari, the floor is yours, and you can tell us more about you and about studying in Romania. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you so much to you, Jackie, Freddie, Paddy, and the whole team for taking care of the students. You know, some of us were feeling like in their shoes, being in Eastern Europe for the past 15 years and having going through a sort of war by itself. In the beginning, it was lovely to see that all the students were safely brought to Hungary or Poland, wherever that was. So kudos to you guys, and thank you for that brief introduction. I am Dr. Maria. People cannot pronounce my last name, so I go by Dr. B, right? I'm Kenyan born and based in Bucharest, Romania for the past 15 years. You know, I know that Romania is not attractive to many people. When people hear about Romania, they say, why should we go there? We are not in Schengen space. We are indeed in the European Union, but we're not in the Schengen space. So for this reason, many students do not feel the need to come here. They would prefer to go to places like Hungary or Poland. But I can boast about my country. I can boast about Romania, that it happens to be one of the countries that's very kind to people who are coming over. They have been nothing but hospitable, especially to the people of color, because we here are good ambassadors to the country.
Oh.
So when they see the
connection,
we have worked throughout, we've done our medical course, we've not taught the people. Is my connection terrible?
Yeah.
You hear me? Are we okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So, sorry. So the government of Romania has been very supportive. They have been very kind. And I'm going to go through a few items that I'd put on my list. And the first one is language barrier. I know that me.
Dr. you're muted.
Sorry, I do.
Oh. I think Dr. is having some technical issues. As we wait for her to set it up, I would love to call on, I'm sure we have some other professional. Not every student in here wants to study medicine or is studying medicine. We also have agriculture courses and other many other courses. It would be nice if you're in the group in here just to talk about your journey. Let me just let Maria in. Let me see. Yeah, just to speak about your professions. Maria?
So sorry for that.
Okay.
I have
Okay,
no idea what happened. I'm not a technocrat. So the question of language, I saw that was raised several times. Our faculties are bilingual. So I fortunately studied in Romanian language, but we also offer, because I think majority of the students in this forum are in medical school. So we have medicine in English and we have medicine in Romanian. I actually was baptized by the Holy Spirit and the Holy Fire because I did language school for 6 months. And after these 6 months, I had to join medical school. It was extremely tough. It was extremely difficult, but I was able to do this medicine in this short period by putting my legs in like cold water and focusing. But I don't think that's going to be the option for most of the students who are here present. I don't think we want to now force you to learn the language, having gone through this traumatic experience with the war and so forth. So I went and had a call with around 10, 11 universities in Romania as a whole. And they are willing to actually accept students from Ukraine. Actually, I was calling primarily for students of color. And they are willing to subsidize the tuition fee because if you study in Romanian language, we can get scholarships for you. And that means you have to take 1 year back from your studies to be able to be integrated into the Romanian system because you have to learn the language. But if you're an English student and you are paying your school fees, for example, in Ukraine, and you'd like to continue your education in Romania, that can be facilitated. And actually what we're trying to do is to also ask for a subsidy for the university to reduce, at least for the first year, your school fees because of what you have gone through. Yeah. So this is something that we're in discussion with the different faculties. And one thing I can tell you, the bureaucracy is not as difficult as in Germany. We are not going to ask for a lot of paperwork. We understand what you went through and we're trying to integrate you into the school system as soon as possible. So about language, you can come to Romania and you can continue your studies in English. Now, the studies in Romania are not free, unfortunately. They are free only for those who come into the system as scholarship holding students. So a tuition fee goes from around 3,000 to 5,000 euros, that's per year, right? And another thing for right now, currently for the Kenyans or for the African students who are currently in Romania, they do not have an immigration problem. Romania is not going to be chasing them out. They no need to go and apply for their, education from Kenya and send their papers here. So whoever who is currently right now in Bucharest or in Cluj or in any of our cities, we have opened channels with the immigration officers and also with the university schools, and they can send their applications directly there. And for those who have problems, we are helping with the facilitation. So what has happened in my case, my friends are coming with a big effort, with a big back, and all my friends have told me every single person who I know of color and needs their help, they're going to be there for them. So even if the system says one thing, with my friends who are supporting me, we will try to make sure that whoever wants to continue their education in Bucharest gets a chance to do so. And like Germany, here in Bucharest, we can still do things the African way. And with a little bit of effort, that can be secured. So we have 2 students, I think, who still want to pursue the education. And I think that's going to be possible. Immigration is not as difficult. We understand that you went through a war. We understand that it's not so difficult. We understand that your parents did invest in your education. So we want to help lift that burden up by making it slightly easier. I do not know, it's still murky areas concerning those who have gone to places like Hungary or Poland. Are they allowed to come back into the country? Sorry. So I got asked this recently. Hi, doc. I'm interested in studying medicine in Bucharest, but I'm currently in Hungary. Am I allowed to come into the country? So I posed this question to the immigration officials. I'm yet to receive an answer if you're going to be allowed into the country. For those who are currently in Bucharest, we can take care of that. But for those who are out, this is something that has to be clarified with the immigration officials. Another thing, I talked to the Ministry of Education in Romania, if it's possible to offer scholarships or very important subsidies for the students of color who are in Bucharest and who would want to study in various fields, not just necessarily medicine. And this is something they told me they're going to give me an official communication by next week. So for anyone who's interested in studying Bucharest, this was actually in a nutshell. I'd like you to encourage to do so. We are very warm, we are welcoming. You can actually do your medical studies here and proceed to a place like Germany, France, the UK, America. So don't close your mind thinking that we are not in the Schengen space. Bucharest has really born excellent doctors. I know quite a number of us who are out in the world doing various things. And I can also be a testimony to that, to show you that actually our education is not so bad. So if you need any help with getting education in Bucharest, please feel free and contact me. Thanks. Thank you, Jackie.
Whoa, Dr. that is, you've really gone out of your way and done a lot for our students. Hey, great information, greatest.
Welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, so as you all have heard, those in Bucharest, please kick off, start sending your applications right away. So that
Jackie, also one thing I just forgot to mention. Most of our students were fleeing the war, so they might not have access to their transcripts. They might not have access to their documentation.
Exactly.
What happens, we understand it. So for us, if you have a copy of some sort of documentation to ascertain that you're in your 4th year, we're going to somehow allow you to get into the system, because I cannot tell you right now to give me your accreditations when I know you don't have it. You know, we should also take that into consideration.
Exactly. Thank you, Maria, for bringing that up, because when I spoke to some of the students, they were like, most of our documents, even original ones.
Yes, were in the faculty.
Because,
yes.
Yeah, so that is something that really has to be looked into. And thank you, Maria, for bringing that up. Whoa. So I see guys fleeing to Bucharest, Paddy being one of them. Freddie, thank you very much for that. Now I know why you have Maria as your doctor. So can
personal
we?
Doctor.
Thank you. Okay, personal
and advisor.
Thank you, Freddie. But there's no Gali here.
Love, respect, my sister.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Jackie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Freddie. We might be having, or we must be having, some professionals who've also studied in Germany, or Poland or Ukraine. It doesn't have to be medicine, because in here, just like I'd mentioned before, we only don't have medicine students, or maybe we even have students who like to change their career. So please feel free and just have like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just to share your journey with us in here. Just by show of hand, to anybody? Anybody in the house? I've seen Philly has unmuted herself. Philly, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I will share mine shortly. I studied communications. However, that is something that's very language intensive. So here there is no compromise about German or English. And I went through the same process as Maria said. We had to do pre-university because our 844 system is not compatible to the German school system. That is why for us, we have to do pre-university. Countries like Cameroon, Senegal, they have a different school system. That's why they just need language competence. And for me, I had to pass the pre-university with 1.5. That's, I think, A, if you call it, yeah. You have to pass, because it is language intensive and you have to really be good at the language. And even still, I had really problems the first 2 semesters where I really had no idea what was going on. So that is when Maria says that taking up something in a different foreign language is not easy, something you should think about, because you can imagine I left Kenya with level C1, is German language. I came here, I still did, and even with my language competence, I still had difficulties the first 2 semesters. So when you're studying in Germany, probably I think I would go for something in English, but you can also jump into cold water and go through the language. And yeah, but basically studying in Germany has a lot of advantages. And as Caro said, the tuition fee is the lowest, and it's worth it, as I can say.
Thank you very much, Philly, for sharing that information with us. So anybody who is thinking to go in that direction, there you go. Do we have someone else in the room to share her journey? Or his journey? And I'm just checking who is unmuting. So if we don't have any other person, I would like to call upon Paddy. We were supposed to be having a session on repatriation with Welela, who's been caught up somewhere, that is from IOM. But because she's been caught up somewhere, she said, okay, we can pick it up because we kind of know exactly how it is, and she's been informing us, or we've been keeping in touch all along. And that session will be put across to you by Paddy. Paddy, tafadhali, the floor is yours.
Asante. Usually I don't like to be in the position of talking on behalf of international organizations. So I will give a very short intro of who I am so that you don't, I make it very clear, because there's a lot of information that will come to you that will not have my name, and that is okay. So this particular session, I think, is important for those who would like to return home. So you've assessed your situation and you think, you know what, I think let me go home. Let me go and think about what I need to do. Or the parents have said, listen, come home. We want to see you physically. We want you to know that you don't have to feel stranded. So there is an organization called the International Organization for Migration. It's not a suitcase outfit. It's a United Nations agency. And I know it for sure because I worked with the International Organization for Migration myself, sitting in Beijing, China, but have been following a lot of their work from my own country. When I worked for the European Commission in Zambia, in Zambia and in Tanzania, I used to take care of some of the International Organization for Migration projects. And since a couple of years ago, the IOM, as everybody knows it, or in French, you would know it as OIM, it is part of the United Nations. Now that's very important to put it out there because our various countries are members of the United Nations, but also at the same time, our countries have signed up to be members of the International Organization for Migration. Why do I say this? If you need to verify any of the information I'm talking about, you can contact your country. You can look onto the website and look for International Organization for Migration, and everything that I'm saying here would be attached to it. So I'm speaking in the capacity of somebody that has worked for the organization, but in this meeting, I do not represent them. And you will get some contact details of who can confirm all this information. So under the International Organization for Migration, or IOM, there are various programs that try to help migrants, that try to help people who are in crisis or people on the move. And they are also known as the United Nations Migration Agency. So there are programs known as the Assistance Voluntary Return and sometimes reintegration programs. You may have known of them because various nationals from Europe, if you're sitting in Europe or in other parts of the world, have been returned to their countries of origin when they have found themselves in a situation where they say, I want to go home, I cannot pay for my ticket. So it's called voluntary because you apply for it. So it's not Paddy to put an application for you, or Jackie, or Carol, or by the way, even your parents. It has to be voluntary from the applicant. So that's very important to put out there. And the idea is that they wanted to provide what is that dignified way of returning home, and also to encourage those, for instance, who have been in a particular country. They've been in Germany, they've been in various parts of Europe. Germany is one of those countries, but they're in Spain, they're in Portugal, they're returning to the Americas, they're returning to Asia. And with this kind of assistance, they're able to pay for plane tickets and maybe provide some other stipends, which I'll explain in a bit, that allow people to go home. And all manner of people go home. So these programs are usually open for nationals, for various nationals. And IOM, since the crisis, has decided to extend some of the active programs in the countries I'll mention in a bit, so that they include international students that have been stranded in Ukraine to go home. Why is this important? Because usually, if you were wanting to return home, you should have gone to the International Organization for Migration in Ukraine. But we know that the country is in crisis, and therefore various countries that are close to Ukraine where people are fleeing have to actively open a path in their program to say, we will cater for people coming from Ukraine. And these countries so far are Poland, Hungary, and Germany. And there's some very specific details that are important to note from these different programs, because some of them are just opening and realizing that they're receiving people. Because at the end of the day, the International Organization for Migration does not want anybody to stay in what is known as an irregular status. So people are never illegal. I know all of us say, illegal. That person is illegal. Yani yule ni illegal. Nobody is illegal. You are born, you are a legal person, but the country says you don't have the legal status to stay. So they are also able to help people like that. That's what the program is about. But these particular countries have opened up for international students and nationals. So you could have a national that lived in Ukraine, an African national who was not a student, and those cases are also possible to process under these programs. So let's go very quickly to it. What does it mean? It means that they're working with various partners. They work with your government. So that means Paddy, if you are sitting in Poland, cannot be returned to Kenya because I am not a national of Kenya. So I have to be returning to Zambia. I have to be returning from Kenya and I return to Kenya. So they have to work in partnership with governments to verify my information. How do they verify it? My passport. If I don't have a passport because I left it in Ukraine, how do they verify it? By contacting the embassy to ensure that indeed I am Zambian, and there are means and ways to do that. So there are various programs that are out there. For IOM Poland, I'm going to put the contacts in the chat. Please call this number, only this number. And somebody from the International Organization for Migration in Poland will give you information of how to go about your return home. If you want to return home and you're in Poland, this is the phone number that I will post in a minute for you to contact, and they'll give you all the information. So it's not me who can do this for you. The applicant themselves has to write to them and say, remember, it's voluntary. So the only volunteer is the person themselves. Then the next country that has open pathways is Hungary. Now, Hungary is ready. They are the ones that are the most ready to do this. They set up their program quite some time ago, and they've already activated their return program for international students. They have received already pre-information from about 11 students, thanks to the work that has been done, part of this network, and really looking at my sister here, Jackie, and Freddie, and the others who have collected this information. And by information, we just gave nationalities and say, I am Poland, Hungary, these people want to go. But these people still have to contact directly again to apply and are being told. So what is being covered for Hungary? Hungary has said that they're encouraging, first of all, that all students and nationals, you reach out to their hotlines, which we will share in a moment. And they are providing pre-departure assistance. What does this mean? They give you information about the travel. They can give you accommodation, food, but only for those who will be involved in the program. What does it mean? I don't arrive and say, I want to go, but I'm not really sure, but I want the accommodation. No, you are being repatriated. So it's part of a package. And I think that information is important. The next part is, if you don't have travel documents, they are liaising with your embassy so that you are relaxed. You are being taken care of, and they liaise with your embassy to get your travel documentation. That also means, they organize the ticket. So they buy the ticket. They don't give you the money to buy the ticket. They organize the ticket. for you to go home, and they purchase the ticket. And also they are providing departure, transit, and arrival assistance. What does this mean? They will take you to the airport. They will make sure that your transit is organized okay. So no, Paddy, there's no getting off in Dubai to go and see my friend. No, you are going home. You're going home, and that's very important. And arrival assistance, somebody from IOM in Zambia comes and says, welcome, Paddy. Yes, your parents can be there, and they hand you over to your family. Or maybe I have to go to my village a couple of kilometers. That is also provided as transport all the way to where I'm going. So you can see that it's a train of information of the full package, but please get in touch with them if you're sitting in Hungary. The contact details we provide for them. They speak English, they speak Hungarian, they speak French, they speak Arabic. And we've now also encouraged them that, please, can you speak some Swahili? Because
Yes.
I think the other side of Africa, you know, in the bottom, we are being forgotten. So that's a small recommendation we have sent to them, that maybe they need to add Swahili. So that is on IOM Hungary. This information will be shared with you, so please don't feel lost. Germany. Now, Germany, there's two things. Number one, if you say, no, tomorrow I want to go home, next week I want to go home, they are looking at it on a case-by-case basis, because remember, each country has to activate the program, but they know there is a need. So there are already some students who are saying, I can't take this anymore, I need to go home like tomorrow. They will help you with the ticket, and they will also help with the PCR test. So remember, with Hungary, they were able to help with a lot of other things. But please get in touch with a lady called Waleila Negusi, who is an Ethiopian national sitting in IOM in Germany, and she is the project coordinator. She will take down your details. She will ask you questions. I can't answer the questions. Only Waleila can give you answers to that program. Because the second part is, there may be those who are saying, no, I want to wait some days, some weeks while I think about it. So that assistance is probably much more comprehensive. But now she's saying it's urgent and you want to go home. She could try and organize through another program, which is not the assistant voluntary return program, but still there, you still need to volunteer yourselves. So what's the bottom line? You have a contact detail, write to them yourself, not your mother sitting in another country, you, the person who has to travel, because they need to communicate with you. But please be sure, as you can imagine, resources are there to be well utilized. So it's also an issue of not saying, I want them to pay for my ticket to go. They can only take you home. Repatriation is to go home. So with that, I won't add more words, but just to put the contact details in the repatriation. And over to my sister, Jackie.
Thank you very much, Paddy, for for presenting Waleila very, very well. And actually, that is the information that we were given that we have to put across to the students. So I'm sure all of you, plus students and parents, you've all got both staying, studies, and also a chance of going back home. The decision is finally yours. But please remember, you have to act also as quick as possible. So don't take so much time thinking that there's going to be enough time for that. Just start acting. You have like a day or two to digest everything and then act. It is upon you when and how you want to act. On top of that, I'm sure we have so many questions, and this is, I'm opening now the Q&A session. Karibuni. Maybe we could have given also the parents a chance to say a word or two. I'm seeing the president of the Parents Association in Tanzania.
Daktari is here.
Daktari Nkufa, I've seen you, and I'm seeing Miss Jane Jeroge all the way from Nairobi. And yeah, please, maybe 2 minutes, Papa. Carol, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say something. I need to leave in about 10 minutes. So I wanted to excuse myself in case anyone would be interested. I have a suggestion. We could approach, if you're interested in Germany, in other courses, we can sit down together with Quick and approach these universities together on your behalf. I think it's also good for them to know that these organizations are there, we exist, and if we approach them together as a team, then they might consider more requests than when you approach them individually. So we can prepare a questionnaire and at least you can get in touch and then we discuss on the next way forward. That's all I wanted to say. And thank you so much. At 3 p.m., Jackie, I'll hand over the microphone to you and then we will communicate later on. Thank you so much.
Okay, sawa. Okay, thank you very much, Carol. Yes, Jackie, you want to ask something or you have a suggestion before I call one of the parents or both parents? Jackie?
Yeah, actually, it's a question specifically to Dr. Maria, who spoke before. So I don't know if I can ask now or later.
Maybe later, because let's just give the parents a 1 minute each just to hear from them. Dr. Tafadhali, or to answer ladies first, can we start with Miss Jane Njoroge?
Yes, that would be good.
Hi, I don't know why my network is really dropping. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very well, Jen.
It's really been dropping on and off. I think for me, it's just to say thank you. I think we've gotten extremely comprehensive information. I think this is just wonderful. It's just amazing, the amazing amount of support and opportunities that are there to can I say, to recuperate or to rethink. And I think the advice is quite good. So as you've mentioned, Jackie, we really don't have a lot of time. It's really important that we start acting. I know it's quite emotional, especially when we see all the news and then combined with the emotions of what have we lost, but nothing is lost. Really, absolutely nothing is lost. And I think I feel encouraged every day, to be honest. I feel so encouraged. And I really appreciate that there is a lot of hope. Actually, wherever there is a dark cloud, there's always a silver lining. And I think these sessions have really shown us the silver lining. So let's keep listening. And as Jackie has mentioned, we need to act swiftly. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jen. Yeah.
And definitely, I think I also really want to, just to add to what Paddy has saying, I work for the United Nations, and IOM is one of the organizations that we work very closely with. And just to add that UN, it's a member states organization, and exactly what Paddy has said is quite right. That's what IOM does. And I'm really excited to see that they've been able to open up their arms for us. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jane, and see you soon in Nairobi, maybe. With ugali for Freddie, I'll bring it back. And
Mokimo, you know?
Mokimo for Paddy.
Yeah, we are really looking forward to you guys. It's really hot here. We wish we could send you some sun.
Ugali for the others, Dada Jane, Mokimo for Freddie alone.
Look at that.
Yeah, count on me. Yeah.
Back to you, Jackie.
Thank you very much. Daktari.
Okay, so thank you very much. Being the last one, probably everything has been said, but let me take this first of all from Tanzania, and I'm part of the parents committee. So I'm very glad to all information that have been provided, and above all, I'm very glad to see how you have worked hard since our children have been tucked there in Ukraine, and then you have organized your network, Jackie, Paddy, Freddie, and all that have been able to do that. So we thank you very much for that. Now we are talking while we are happy now, because our children, they are out of danger. So we are looking at what will happen with their future and our future also. So we thank you very much for organizing all this information from Hungary, from Germany, from Poland, from Romania. So all this will be useful information for our children, the students, and ourselves who are supporting them. So, we would like you to continue with us and the students to make sure that all these opportunities that are coming up, we make sure that we follow up closely so that we can see some of the results coming out of those opportunities. Specifically, for example, about Germany, about Poland and Romania with Dr. Maria, that have showed doing quite a lot, and it seems the situation might be more conducive. So let us look even possibility of those possibilities that you have indicated, that those who are in different countries that you have asked for possibility to go Romania if they think that it is viable for them. So let us, all of us, continue working together as we started to see all this coming to a good end for the future of our children and of our nations. So thank you very much again, everyone.
Thank you very much, Daktari, for summing that up for us. And I'm sure we'll continue working with you and the students as well, just like Carol had mentioned before. And we want to see them excel and getting happy from where they are, and happier because the situation was bad. Now we are getting happier and happier. So the Q&A session has been opened, and I think Jackie had her hand up. Jackie, now tafadhali, the floor is yours.
Okay, so my question was to Dr. Maria. She spoke about the chance to study in Romania. So my main question is it going to be possible to apply or to go back home, or we have to be hanging around EU just waiting for the chance to open up? How will that go?
Maria?
Hi, Jackie. So thank you for that question. Yes, thank you for the question. So immigration is a factor. And I can tell you, like, for those people who have come into the Romanian space, it's going to be easier for us to get them to universities for whatever course they have. And that's why I said I'm going to come back with information tomorrow, because we have a lot of Kenyan students who might be perhaps in Poland and Hungary and would want to migrate to Romania. First and foremost, it's important to know what was stamped on your passport. Was it refugee status, or, you know, all these are nitty-gritty parts of the immigration aspect. So I have to get information from the immigration officials, because it's something I cannot say. I don't have the know-how about it. Once I get that information, Jackie, I can relate to you, because I know immigration can be a slight problem with the borders. I have to know, how can you, who's been there, come into Romania? So will they allow you to come in if you're going to have access to a university, or if the university gives you a chance to come and study? So I'll get in touch with the immigration officials tomorrow. And if you can give me an email address or something, I can send you the information I gather, if that's okay with you, Jackie.
I will. And I'll also, Philly can send our email address and also our website.
Okay.
He is the one in charge of Quig Press. That is our press team leader. Exactly. Thank you very much, Philly. I can see Farah. Regina, please. Regina, pray, please. Exactly. Farah, I can see your hand is up. Farah Ahmed.
Yes, hello. I just have a question. I want to know from Dr. Maria the fees of studying in Romania. The cost for medicine.
So medicine in Bucharest, because it's the capital, ranges from around 7,000 euros. And I would also like to add to the fact that if you're a good student, if you get good grades, if you're very consistent toward your education, even in the English section, as we call it, you have access to scholarships. So we know a lot of people who would get excellent grades, and that means maybe from 10, 10, 10 is what we consider excellent. You can get a scholarship. So in Bucharest, in the capital city, we are the school fees is around 7,000 euros. But when you go to other good school universities, you have Târgu Mureș, Craiova, you have Cluj. It ranges from each town from around 3,000 to 5,000 euros. It's a relatively cheap. I mean, the education can be slightly expensive, but accommodation and your running costs are relatively cheap. So let's say give a take from around 3,000 to 5,000 euros, depending on the university. I hope I have answered your question, Farha. Is that okay?
Yes, I just have another question. Right now,
Please.
I'm not in Romania, so
Yes.
I'm in my home country. So what are the steps that I should take?
Sorry, where did you say you are?
I'm not in Romania. I'm
Yes.
in my home country. So I want
Okay.
to know the steps that I should take to study in Romania.
Okay, so if you want to study in Romania, well, the most important thing is to first decide which university you want to go through. And with this, you will need to go, if you're not in Europe, you'll need to go to the Romanian embassy of the country where you are. For example, in Nairobi, you have the Romanian embassy in somewhere around, I think, Gigiri, and you need to apply for your medical school through the Romanian embassy in that country. But if you're from Ukraine and you need help, we can try to talk to the Ministry of Education. I can try to push it for you from this side. So maybe I can try to personally apply on your behalf. If you're interested in Romania, then I can, we can, cut the buffer of the embassy, and I can try to apply for you directly as person from this Ukraine. So I can try to do that.
Okay, is it possible if you just write your contact?
Yes, I have, my dear. Thank you. God bless. Bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you, Farah, for your question. Any other questions in the house?
Maybe if I can also ask you, Dr. Maria.
Yes, please.
Dr. Maria, thank you very much for all the elaboration and the support that you are providing. Is there any, if for example, in my case, apart from being parents for everyone, but also I have a daughter who is still in Hungary. So how can you assist us to be able to try that route of Romania, for example? And in that case, of course, I'm asking that for even other Tanzanians who would like to go in that path, and probably they are still in Romania, Poland.
Yeah. So this is something that I have been thinking about. As I mentioned it before, we are talking about the immigration status of the students from Hungary into